How's it going, Starseekers? My name's Luke, and today on the channel we're going to be taking a look at possibly the happiest game on the Switch, Happy Game, a whimsical frolic through the dreams of a young boy seeking to reclaim his favourite objects as he interacts with the items and creatures he meets in order to solve puzzles. Now, don't be fooled by the appearance of Happy Game, as it's probably not quite what you're expecting, so let's get into this review and see what it has in store for you, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all my latest content. So upon starting the game, you'll be met with a warning screen which I recommend taking note of if you suffer from photosensitive epilepsy, as the game has a fair amount of flashing imagery, but I will try and avoid using any of it in this review. It's also worth noting at the bottom of the warning it states that this is not actually a happy game, which I will admit is also kind of true. Now, the story in Happy Game revolves around a young boy who, after going to bed and falling into a deep slumber, finds himself trapped in his dreams, which become progressively more nightmarish the further into them he travels. The game takes place over 3 dream scenarios, each more horrifying than the last, and throughout these he's pursued by a sinister looking entity with a blood red smile and glowing eyes, who is constantly forcing the boy to delve deeper into the darkest corners of his own mind. Now, as far as the storyline goes, nothing is really that clear cut, and throughout the game there's a lot of subliminal imagery used which hint at the boy not having the happiest of home lives. While thematically the game has some very dark undertones which some people might just find a little bit too disturbing, there are also elements of comical relief, albeit some very dark comical relief. Now, you could spend hours analysing the game and reading into every little element of it to try and understand the message it's trying to deliver, but in all honesty, I really don't think you need to. The story works well to present multiple scenarios for you to work through and keep gameplay interesting, and there's plenty of surreal weirdness to it if that's your bag, and if you've been watching the channel a while you'll know that it's something that I love, so in that regard the game didn't disappoint. Overall though, I did feel like the story was really just there to set the foundations for the gameplay while being as creepy as possible, and while it does do very little in the way of explaining things, I personally just enjoyed its dark humour. So if you've ever played any of Amnesia Design's other games, which include Machinarium, Chuchel, Botanicula or Kriegs, then you can expect a similar style of point and click gameplay. Unlike traditional point and click adventure games where you direct a character to interact with different objects, in Happy Game you actually control the movement of the main character using the thumbstick, as well as the on-screen cursor which is used to both interact with objects as well as pick them up and move them. Now, as I said before, the game is split into 3 distinct dream sequences, and the objective is to guide our sprightly young lad through each of these as he chases after the things which make him happy. Unfortunately, Mr. Smiley, whoever he may be, doesn't want the boy to be happy, and so each dream features a series of puzzles for him to solve and countless horrifying sights for him to endure, but luckily he has you to help him through it all. Now, the game begins with you guiding the character through a few scenes and using the cursor to interact with things as you learn the control scheme. A short while in though, you'll encounter your first puzzle, and it's here that you're taught your character is able to carry or hold certain objects for you, which forms an integral part of solving future puzzles. The vast majority of these require some kind of interaction using the cursor, such as grabbing objects, pulling them, pushing them or turning them, and although there are occasions when the boy himself gets involved, more often than not he acts more like a passive observer of your actions. Like Amnesia Design's previous titles, this kind of makes Happy Game feel more like an interactive puzzle game rather than a true point and click adventure title, and it also means that gameplay is well suited for playing in handheld mode using the Switch's touchscreen controls. Now, while the difficulty factor of the puzzle elements never truly becomes challenging, there are a few trickier ones later on in the game requiring a little bit more thought, but most of the game's puzzles can usually be solved through trial and error, so if puzzle games aren't your forte, then you needn't worry about getting stuck for any length of time in Happy Game. Overall, I found there to be a decent amount of variety to the puzzles, with my favourite being the second dream sequence where you have to defeat an evil gluttonous bunny, and I really liked how creative the developers have been when it comes to incorporating these puzzles into nightmarish scenarios. Unlike some puzzle games where every solution just feels like another positive step towards success, in Happy Game you always know that something terrible is waiting for the boy at the end of them, and being the wretched human being that I am, I always looked forward to seeing what that was. So overall I had a great time playing Happy Game, and I really enjoyed its creepy atmosphere and dark humour. While its runtime is a little on the short side, clocking in at around the 2.5 hour mark, I feel that the price was reasonable with this one, and most people wouldn't be disappointed by the experience it offers. Despite it being a puzzle game, it still felt very casual, making it accessible to a wider audience, and if I were to summarise my feelings of the game in one statement, I would say that Happy Game is like a David Firth fever dream with the salad fingers dial turned up to 11. So the visuals in Happy Game were done by Jaromir Planche, an artist, animator and game designer who previously worked on a game called Churchill, and being a big fan of Firth's work, I absolutely loved the art style in Happy Game. One of my favourite things about it, besides the overall creepy atmosphere it presents, is the way in which the objects and environments appear rather pleasant to start with, but in an instant could change into something horrifying, and I love the way this juxtaposition of art styles reflected the unpredictability of dreams and nightmares. On the audio side of things, aside from the creepy sound effects which all sound great and add to the overall unsettling nature of the game, we also get a wonderfully dark soundtrack produced by an alternative rock band called DVA. As with the visuals, the game's music flip-flops between harmonic lullaby type music, which very much reminded me of the Binding of Isaac's music, to dark and ominous soundscapes which really complement the horrifying imagery, and overall I felt that the developers got it spot on when it comes to the audio and visual designs with this one. So performance wise, I really can't say that I noticed any frame rate drops whilst playing Happy Game, and everything appeared to run great on the Switch in both handheld and docked mode. When it comes to issues, while I did find that interacting with objects using the on-screen cursor could be a little fiddly at times, it does snap to objects, making things much easier whilst playing docked, and I did have the game bug out on me once which required a restart to fix, but other than this, there are no real issues to talk about with this one. In all, Happy Games offers a simple but satisfying puzzle experience, as well as a good dose of horror and morbid humour, and if like me you're a fan of disturbing and creepy games, then you won't come away from this one feeling disappointed. When it comes to my own personal rating of the game, I'm going to be giving Happy Game 4 out of 5 stars. As the warning at the start of the game states, this is not a happy game, but it sure was a joy to play. And that about does it for this review of Happy Game on the Nintendo Switch. Make sure to hit that like button if it helped you out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game and whether you're going to be picking it up in the comments section below. And if you've not already done so, then consider subscribing to the channel. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.